Hello, hello, hello. This is your boy Brandon Correia, aka EF Hunt of Entertainment, and we are back with another trailer reaction. We got a big one today, and it is the first Comic-Con trailer for House of the Dragon. And with two big fantasy shows on the horizon, House of the Dragon being one of them, the other one being the Lord of the Rings series coming from Amazon Prime. They're coming out around the same time, so there's going to be episodes of each coming out at the same time, so it's a good time to be a fantasy fan. But if you are maybe a bigger fan of one than the other, or just there's one that has just resonated more with you as you watch them, for me it's Game of Thrones. Let me just provide a little bit of context before we get into this trailer reaction. So I am a Lord of the Rings fan. It's just I turned 30 this year, and when Lord of the Rings came out, obviously because it is a little bit more mature content, when it came out around the same time as Harry Potter, a kind of another fantasy world. And I just feel like people born around my age, like I feel like if I was say I turned 35 this year, right? If I was a little bit older, and at the time when Lord of the Rings came out, I would have been a little bit older. I think Lord of the Rings would be maybe more important to me, or have a bigger place in my pop culture brain, or my personal pop culture fandom. But because at that time I was a little bit younger than I think what the target audience of what Lord of the Rings was aiming at the time, Harry Potter to me at that time was more like my people's years thing. And moving past that, now that we're at this point where it's like there's two fantasy kind of things combating again, it's like which way are people gonna go? And you know, when this comes out, there's gonna be so many things online of Game of Thrones versus Amazon Prime, or Game of Thrones versus Lord of the Rings. Which one's better? You know, there's gonna be so many comparisons, and the fact that they're coming out the same year, not even like one came out at the beginning of the year, finished, and then the other one came out. It is just, they're literally playing at the exact same time. So it is going to be very, very, very interesting to see. Like I said, I'm a Game of Thrones person. I did a Lord of the Rings trailer reaction not too long ago. I could post that in the description. But I'm excited for this trailer because, like I said many times, I'm a Game of Thrones person over Lord of the Rings if I had to choose. I'm glad that I get both, and I'm going to be watching both at the same time and expect episodes for both. But if I had to choose, I would probably choose Game of Thrones. Like I said, when Game of Thrones came out, I was older. I would have been like 21, 22, I think, at the time. And I do consider myself like an OG Game of Thrones person. Like, I wasn't watching from the very beginning, but to me, like, Game of Thrones was such like a big pop culture phenomenon, like that I don't think will ever be seen again, the way that it captured everyone. I do not think that will be done again. But the way that it did, because it captured it so on such a grand scale, and everybody started to come in on it. Like, I remember there was a couple people in my friend group that I was watching it from a long time ago, but then there was a couple people that kind of just tuned in near the end and were kind of just catching bits and pieces, kind of just to kind of keep along with it, right? So it got to a point where even if you weren't a big fan, you were still kind of somewhat keeping up with the storylines and the plots going on, so you could somewhat still be involved in that cooler talk conversation when you're at work, right? That right, because you know, everybody at the cooler, when they're going to fill up their water bottles in workplaces, everybody was talking about that Game of Thrones episode on the Monday when it aired on Sunday. Like, everybody in that moment in time. So I do consider myself like an OG, right? And to me, like, if you kind of hopped on the Game of Thrones train before, I might even give it a season 4, because by end of season 4 going into 5, that's when it kind of became like that pop culture sensation where everybody was talking about it. But I do think, like, I'll probably make that cutoff. But I was actually watching Game of Thrones from like middle of second season. I was actually really I remember going to my one boy's house who was on it from the very beginning, was trying to get me to watch it from time. But I remember going to his house like while the second season was going on, and I watched an episode and I was like, yo, this is actually lit. And I actually worked with an individual who somehow, literally in like the same week, somehow we got to talking about Game of Thrones, and he was like, oh, like I have the box set of season 1. I can let you borrow it if you want to like catch up. And I was like, yo, bet. And I watched season 1, and the rest was history. And I fell in love. And season 1 and 2 are still my 2 favorite seasons. I don't know which one would be my number 1, but both season 1 and 2 are my favorite Game of Thrones seasons. So I am excited as a big Game of Thrones fan that has watched and rewatched the series multiple times. I am excited for this. So let's get into this trailer now that I provided you with all that context. Thanks for sticking around with me. All right, let's get into this trailer.
War is afoot.
Dragons look amazing already. You know, it's going to be a big improvement from the Game of Thrones series, since it's been some years later.
It was clearer than a memory. And I heard the sound of thundering arms, splintering shields and ringing swords. And I placed my heir upon the Iron Throne. And all the dragons roared as one.
I consider the matter urgent. That of your succession.
Well, who else would have a claim?
The firstborn child.
Rhaenyra. No queen has ever sat the Iron Throne.
The king has an heir.
Soundtrack
Daemon
is
Targaryen.
nice.
I will not be made to choose between my brother and my daughter.
Rhaenyra's succession will be challenged. Knives will come out.
Nah, man, it looks,
You are the king.
whatever.
Your duty is
I'm
to
just,
seek
yo.
a new wife.
Maybe I'm a Game of Thrones stan.
I'm your heir. War is afoot.
Do you think the realm will ever accept me as their queen?
A woman would not inherit the Iron Throne, because that is the order of things.
When I'm queen, I will create a new order.
Jeez.
Your family has dragons.
Dragons look sick.
There are power
Sick.
men should never have trifled with.
If Rhaenyra comes into power, she can cut off any challenge to her succession.
I am to inherit the Iron Throne. She will block my way.
Our hearts remain.
If you guys are looking for some kind of cast member for future seasons, right here, Brandon Correia, you can contact my agent.
Imagine yourself on the Iron Throne.
This looks so good.
Where's duty?
So does Lord of the Rings, though.
Sacrifice. Now they see you as you are.
That was a good shot of the dragon. Yo, the dragons look so good. Like, the CG looks so good, honestly. Like, yo, okay, so maybe I'm gonna come across as a Game of Thrones fan. So I'm hoping that people in the comments can let me know what they're thinking now that a Lord of the Rings trailer is dropped and a Game of Thrones trailer is dropped. And like I said, these two series are going to be compared a lot. So after watching the Lord of the Rings trailer, where I think Lord of the Rings will have Game of Thrones beaten, let me know if you agree or disagree, but where I think Lord of the Rings has the edge is obviously it has the money because it's the most expensive show of all time, right? So you know it's gonna look gorgeous, which it did. Like the scale of it, like that scene where they were walking on like the big snowy mountaintop, like the scale of it looks amazing, and it looks like a truly like mythic fantasy realm, right? It really does give off that vibe. Game of Thrones seems a little bit more grounded, as much as there's dragons, yes, but the textures and just the look of the actual scenery, where it's just more practical kind of castles, to me just grounds it a little bit. So the fantasy aspect, to me, Game of Thrones gets Lord of the Rings gets the edge. And I do think when it comes to the fight scenes and the CGI battles, I do think that Lord of the Rings, the overall battles are going to be a lot more impressive than Game of Thrones, right? And I do think there's going to be a lot of good Lord of the Rings like mythology laid out for us. But maybe I'm a Game of Thrones fan, but that trailer amped me. That got me really excited. And the reason why is it gave me a lot of those feels of early Game of Thrones. Sorry. And sorry, I keep saying Game of Thrones throughout the video. Lord of the Rings versus Game of Thrones. Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying that. My mistake, watchers. It's supposed to be Lord of the Rings versus House of the Dragon. Right? That's my fault. So all the times that I said Game of Thrones, I meant House of the Dragon, except for when I was giving the context of Game of Thrones earlier. So Lord of the Rings versus House of the Dragon. Lord of the Rings, I think, will have the, like I was just saying, has the edge in the fantasy stuff. Where I think House of the Dragon has the edge is, it's like I was saying, it's giving me early Game of it's giving me early Game of Thrones vibes where it's heavy political based with minimal battles and minimal. And again, like I'm saying, there's a lot more dragons because of the characters that we're dealing with in the family, the Targaryen family that we're dealing with. So there's going to be more dragons generally. But I do think, I don't think it's going to be overwhelming. I think the dragons may be just kind of around, but I don't think it's going to be heavily like them flying on dragons and them really always battling with dragons. I do think that that's going to be dialed down a lot, and they're going to lean more into the political side of this show, which to me is what made Game of Thrones so good, because I've never watched a show that had that level of political intrigue wrapped up in a fantasy realm, right? So that was the thing that really got me when I started to watch Game of Thrones. And watching this trailer, I'm getting those exact same vibes, and just like I'm smiling looking at them, and just you could just see just coming off the screen, just the deception and the lies and just that true nature of what Game of Thrones is really built on. That everyone trying to gun for the throne and everybody doing whatever they want to do to get to that throne, right? Which is really what, again, like is the true essence of Game of Thrones. And I don't know, I really did enjoy that trailer. I really did enjoy that trailer. And I haven't seen much else. I've seen obviously a couple stills and stuff of just like images, but outside of that, I haven't been doing too much research into House of the Dragon. I've just been, again, because of the way season 8 ended, I didn't hate it like the rest of the world. Obviously, I didn't love it like my early Game of Thrones seasons, but with the way it ended and them bringing this back, I was unsure if they were maybe just doing it to maybe see if they could kind of cover up, but I stand corrected. That was just like a brief thought. This looks absolutely amazing, and seeing this, I am very excited to have this and Lord of the Rings going back and forth. But again, like I said, if I had to choose, seeing this trailer now, I would probably choose this because I'm getting those classic Game of Thrones feel from this House of the Dragon trailer. So that is it for this trailer reaction. Let me know if you found this trailer exciting, if it raised your anticipation level for this show. Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you for watching.